In this video, we'll talk about the election of Thomas Jefferson and the revolution of the election of 1800. In the election of 1800, the Federalists had a host of enemies stemming from the Alien and Sedition Acts. The Federalists had not only been damaged by the Alien and Sedition Acts, but they had also been most damaged by John Adams maintaining neutrality and not declaring war on Britain or France. Thus, they are going to launch attacks on Thomas Jefferson and sling mud in an effort to try to win the election of 1800. In the election of 1800, you can see that the green areas on the map were for Thomas Jefferson, and the electoral votes for John Adams were clearly displayed in orange, with the territories displayed in gray not having any electoral votes at this time. Jefferson won the election of 1800 by a majority of 73 to 65 electoral votes. 73 electoral votes with Thomas Jefferson and 65 electoral votes to John Adams. But even though he had beaten John Adams, there was a technicality, and he had actually tied his running mate, Aaron Burr, for the presidency. The election exposed one of the flaws in the original Constitution. Members of the Electoral College could only vote for president. Each elector could vote for two candidates, and the vice president was the person who received the second largest number of votes during the election. The vote, according to the Constitution, would now go to the Federalist-dominated House of Representatives, who would have to decide whether Aaron Burr or Thomas Jefferson would become president. Hateful of Jefferson, many wanted to vote for Aaron Burr. But Alexander Hamilton and John Adams, who had already lost the election, finally persuaded a few House members to change their votes, electing Jefferson to the presidency, because they disliked Jefferson less than they disliked Aaron Burr. So on March 4th, 1801, Thomas Jefferson was inaugurated president in the new swampy capital of Washington, D.C. Jefferson was simple and frugal and did not seat in regard to rank during his dinners. He also didn't have very expensive dinners at the White House either, because he looked to try to reduce the expenses that the president was spending on dinners like that. He also started the precedent of sending messages to Congress to be read by a clerk. So instead of going to Congress and giving a speech, he would simply send a letter. He was not really comfortable speaking in public. There were two Thomas Jeffersons, the scholarly private citizen and the harassed public official. Jefferson also dismissed few Federalist officials and had to rely on his casual charm because his party was still not totally united. Jefferson pardoned those who were serving time under the Sedition Act, and in 1802 he enacted a new naturalization law that returned the years needed for an immigrant to become a citizen from 14 to 5, thus reversing the Sedition Act. He also kicked away the excise tax that had been put on whiskey that actually caused the Whiskey Rebellion, but otherwise left most of Hamilton's programs and economic systems intact. The new Secretary of the Treasury, Albert Gallatin, reduced the national debt substantially while balancing the budget. And so Jefferson did a good job in his administration, balancing the budget and reducing the amount of money that the federal government was spending. We'll talk more about Jefferson's policies in class.